Good evening, everyone. This is the Right Geek, and I am here with Kevin Waldroup, who wants to talk about his new zine. Kevin, if you could give us a little information about how you became interested in publishing a zine.
Okay, I got interested in science fiction uh, as a writer, and I always wanted to do my own zine. So somebody suggested, why don't you go create your own zine? So I'd be playing around with the idea for a couple of years now, and around about 3 years again, I started a little web thing called uh, just Jotting Web Zine, and I've been having a little fun publishing writers of all kinds. I usually like to publish fiction with male leads and stuff, and anything like different. And it's been a really lot of fun since I started about, I think about 4 years ago.
Okay. So define what you mean by different for the authors who may be listening in the audience.
Oh, different is having a male lead being, well, basically a good description is being politically incorrect. I
Uh,
It's a good description, and having fun with your fiction, not being preachy with whatever you're doing and stuff. Is really what I look for. I really look for story first, message totally put into your plot line. But if you send me a good, fun science fiction story, think think like Starship Troopers or 50 Pulp Era. The Lensman series is one of my personal favorite science fiction things. So think fun space opera with it's okay to have a Muslim as a bad guy. It's okay to have a Chinese spy not be the bad guy. It's it's basically okay to have anybody be a bad guy. So that's the driving force behind Blaster Books because I've literally seen submission guidelines where it says check your white privilege, and I would like to know where my white privilege is when I work at a company and my boss is African American female. So I mean, I saw it so people can have fun with fiction and have a good place where they can submit any type of stories they feel like.
okay, and tell the audience, have you actually published as of this moment?
Yeah, we have about four webzines at Amazon, Barnes and Noble, every place for about 99 cents. I did do a theme anthology filled with fun flying saucer tales, and it was basically a UFO theme. You can get that at Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Kobo, Apple, Smashwords. We basically everywhere. Except I'm not on the Microsoft Store bookstore yet, and I'm not on Google Play yet.
Okay,
All right, it's
all
the
right.
only two. Oh,
Oh, sorry.
go right ahead.
All right. I was going to ask you, who are some of the authors that have published with you?
Uh, ooh. One is Alec Denhan is a good one. Basically, it's a good chunk of my friends list on Facebook. Let me see here. Okay, okay. I got. Mm, well, I'm really horrible with names,
Hmm.
so I go. I go tell by names. My personal favorite story is by Ella Denhan. She's a really good author, and I really like her. Uh, I'm probably forgetting somebody, but but his name is Eric D. Morrill. and he writes some really good fiction. He's one of the things that I absolutely love to read. His and he actually have a novel shopping around at publishers that I personally have read, and it's really good fiction. It's really good hard SF feel to it, and he did a really great job with the alien civilization. He's a very good author, and I can't remember what he's been published someplace else called ezine and some other webzines, but he's really one of my personal favorite authors. Uh, and John Del Rolla is a you have interviewed him, but I personally haven't published anything by him. But he's another very good writer that I've met thanks to being part of the Libertarian Conservative Fiction Alliance. It's really has been a godsend for me of finding people and finding other authors to publish. But honestly, the whole, especially the Jathian, it's called the Jathian Anthology, Flying Saucer stories, have a lot of very fine, real good stories, and we have, and I'm probably missing out some people, but they every single story in that anthology is one of the best fiction I personally have ever read, and I've been reading science fiction since I was about 12 years old. So it's some of my best collection I personally have ever put together for Blaster books, but it's one of my favorites.
Okay, so you have mentioned earlier that your mission or your interest is basically to publish things that have more of a pulpy feel, things that are more of a hard SF feel. Do you have any connection, or are you aware of the Pulp Revolution folks?
Yeah, I think the funny part about it is that's one of the reasons I started it, and I now like seeing a lot more pulpy type of feel of uh, science fiction, and I can't wait to read some of that stuff because there's some really good fiction from that era that needs to be brought out into the light. Because some of my favorite authors actually came from that era, so I have sometimes spent a lot of time at Project Greenberg reading like out of date copyrights of that era, and it's some of my favorite authors. And I got so many I can't really name off the top of my head of that era, but it's one of the best.
So you have in fact read things like C.L. Moore and Leigh Brackett.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I've read a lot of stories for like the amazing stories from like the 30s and 40s too in that era, and it's amazing to read some of the stories there, and you just blow away why this is not a classic of the genre. I mean, like Ender's Game is.
Huh.
I mean, it blows my mind.
Yeah.
I, because lots of people say, yeah, the pulpy era isn't that more just like throwaway stuff, but a lot of the stories from that era staying up very good a test of time, and really, sadly, it's much better than what some of the traditional published houses are publishing nowadays. And thank God for the indie revolution or the self-publishing boom. I think is really bringing out some good fiction, and hopefully Lasher Books can sort of be a part of that.
I'm not sure if you had a chance to read my post that I posted on the group the other day. in which I was responding to someone who seemed to be under the impression that fiction from the pulp era was basically just white men in silver penis-shaped rocket ships rescuing damsels in distress that were basically weak women, although they were pretty. Um, how would you respond to someone who seems to have that impression of that era?
Well, that is technically true. There are a lot of stories like that, but technically, one of the reasons that storyline is so popular is men like to rescue people. I mean, we do, biologically speaking, we like to come to the aid of females. And biologically speaking, women like feel the need to be sometimes protected by a female. And now, of course, there are exceptions to the rules. I'm one of my favorite book series is the Our Inheritance series by David Weber. So I'm not opposed for strong women, but there is lots of people love to read something like that. And also, there are a lot of strong female characters it said in those that didn't take any punches in the pulp era too. So to say it's just all of that is a bit incorrect. Now that is a big storyline, but still, no offense, that's a big storyline in romantical fiction for Pete's sake. If anybody reads romantical fiction, it have men, especially historic ones, have like men coming to the rescue of the females a lot, and no one seems to have a women don't really seem to have a problem with that. But I think it's part of that. But what do you sort of expect? I mean, to be blunt about it, during the pulp era, well, it really wasn't very true because during the pulp era, they had Germans as what German speaking bad guys too. In some of the some especially the detective pulp era novels too. So, and I'm sorry that sometimes our enemies happen in the pulp era. It was doing around about the 30s and 40s, and sorry, I mean sometimes our enemies are Japanese. I mean, sometimes the enemy is China. Uh, and sorry, people don't necessarily see. And no offense, if someone really want to see hilarity, if you watch any movies from Hong Kong or watch any movies by Hong Kong cinema, literally every person is a white guy as the bad guy. Uh, it's hilariously to watch some Chinese modern day Chinese movies. Literally everybody is a rogue American general, and no one seems to complain about that. So I think it's a bit hilarious for people to complain about uh, a, a genre and just say it's all white guys coming to the arrow. You know, that's a part of it, but no offense, there was tons of people coming to the help uh, of everybody during that era. But a good chunk of the authors happen to be white, so I don't know. You can't really have it both ways. I mean, I cringe every time I'm reading an author that happened to be white and he has a black character that doesn't really act like a black character because he doesn't fully have experience while African American have been through right, history and stuff.
Mhm.
It can become off-putting, and no offense, the fourth book of writing is write what you know. So I mean, a lot of my characters in my postal fiction happen to be white because, well, I'm a white guy, and I believe in having bad guys of all stripes and colors. I mean, if the bad guy is white, cool. If the bad guy happened to be female, if the bad guy happened to be, hell, homosexual, I don't care. Oh, but everybody have to be fully three-dimensional to me, and that's just one of the dicks on Pulpy, and it's pretty true. The bad guys can sometimes, and the heroes could be slightly one-dimensional. So I'm hoping in the new revolution that I hope they take some of the good elements and leave some of the bad elements and have bad guys that are fully three-dimensional and good guys that are fully three-dimensional with their own problems, but not take it to the hilarious extreme that some comic book characters have done, where it's like you can't really tell who the good guy and who the bad guy is. It's like, I mean, it's good to have a little gray area, but don't like be all dark and moody with your stuff. Is one of the things I think people need to understand. And I'm just coming to you as a writer. Uh, People need to understand it's not always good to have some white guy living in the suburbs write about African American characters. They sometimes come off a bit one dimensional. Like all they know about African Americans is what they might see in rap videos. So it comes on, you can sometimes have flat characters.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I mean, and the thing about it is, I can probably actually write a good three-dimensional African American character because I have a lot of black friends, I have a lot of Hispanic friends, so I can actually do a better job of describing what they've been through a little better than somebody that live in a nice gated community and want to vulture single like a lot of people like to do on the left.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of people like to see in a nice little gay community, and all their friends are white, and no, they didn't know anybody that voted for Trump. Now, being wise, I'm not the biggest Trump fan, but
Mm-hmm.
I literally have friends on my Facebook feeds, and I get. It's actually funny watching my Facebook feed because I have people that love Trump, and I have people that couldn't stand the guy, and they're all my friends on Facebook. So it's like I'm not the biggest Trump fan, but I literally know people that I can understand why they dislike Trump, and I also have friends that understand why they could like Trump. So I don't live in this like bizarre yes vacuum on social media like lots of people like to live in sometimes. Uh, and I think because people need to understand, I can understand both sides of the story, and people to need to get out of their safe zones. If it's people shouldn't all just have Trump is 100% great. Everybody shouldn't have like uh Trump is all bad. People need to get out of their safe zones, and that's why I try to do, especially with my Facebook page, is make it a nice safe space for everybody. So, I mean, I will post a video of Trump doing good, or I will post a video I think Trump is doing something bad. So it's not big, huge, and whole to me, and I'm not beholden to anybody. See, and plus, I'm thinking about running for president in 2020 anyway. I even actually created a Facebook page about a like page that you can go look it up. Now, if I actually get enough support and people want to back me, I actually might consider running as a Democrat just to have fun with the heads exploding, being seen like women. Because my dad's technically a Democrat, and I would have a lot of fun with saying like, women, but you pro-life, yeah. What? But how can you be a Democrat and be pro-life? Well, you can. I mean, but I just will just run on the Democrat side to just listen to people be shocked by having somebody that actually have family members that are Democrat have a totally different opinion. But and of course that's one of the reasons Trump won is because the Democrats have basically gave up on blue collar war
Mm-hmm.
code, and that's why how picks will flip. Because I mean, nothing say eliteness with running a upper class rich woman that literally got to be president because of what her husband did. I mean, was the former president is literally why she got the nomination. So well, and she ran a horrible candidate. That's why she lost. Not because Trump is some brilliant politician. It was because Hillary Clinton was a god awful candidate, and Trump was a
Mm-hmm.
slightly less god awful candidate. And time will tell. He's actually doing okay as president. Spot my horrific surprise. So he actually might win again in 2020, but who really knows? But now back to fiction. deeply believe in having good, solid characters, and another reason I started Blasted Books is because I want to encourage young men to come back to reading science fiction. Because I've noticed a lot of kids, well, younger than I am, really don't like to read that much, and usually the complaint I usually get from them is says, "Well, all the characters are reading is just for women or something." And so that's the second reason I started Blasted Books because I want to energize people to like write leads with males being leads because honestly I haven't really read a story with a guy in the lead in a really long time. 9% of the fiction that have lately come out, at least since the mid 90s, were strong female characters, strong female leads, and there's nothing really wrong with that. But it's have gone to the point where they're all biological differences between men and women, and I would like people to acknowledge that actual scientific fact in science fiction. I mean, it's cool to have a female badass in power armor, but no offense, sometimes power armor won't work. Sometimes it will break down and you will have to get a blaster or handheld weapon and go slog for the mud with the enemy. Because the power armor will break down because that's another thing I would like to read. I am open to novel submissions. You can find any of the. I give you the links. So I would really like to read stories about space marines and the power armor actually breaking down, and they have to like fight with like regular guns and stuff because stuff do break down in combat.
Mhm.
Is one of the things. Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, so a couple of follow-up questions based on some of the things you've been talking about.
Yeah.
So it sounds like one of your missions is to get that sort of male perspective back into the field. Um, and you mentioned a little bit about what kids have been telling you about what's been driving them away from reading. The reality is that our field now has to compete with a lot more product out there. You have comics, you have movies, you have games.
Yeah.
That all have storytelling elements that tend to be more attractive to young men than books are currently at the moment. Um, so what is it that we have to do as literary science fiction writers to sort of bring that audience back? What are the elements you think that need to be added to our field in order to expand it and bring back some of the audience that has been disaffected?
Uh, One of the things I think we can actually do is start having slightly more male leads and having them more and quit trying to make and talk down to men and bring their intelligence. Because that's one of the reasons I don't watch TV anymore. Is because a lot of TV is pulling my attention. And another thing we can do is just really try to price our stuff as cheap as possible and do advertisements on like gaming sites and stuff, entice people that way. But there's one funny thing that I could really remember doing when I was literally 20 or 25 at the time. I can remember being on my computer doing some PC gaming, having the volume turned off and listening to an ebook at the very same time. So, I mean, it can be, we all competing for stuff, but it's not truly behaving. I mean, literally, if I had a good TV show I wanted to watch, or if I had a good thing, I'd immediately put down the PlayStation or the Nintendo 64 and go watch the X Files. So it's, I mean, we are competing with that type of stuff, but you can literally do the exact same thing. And I mean, I can literally play a game and read fiction at the exact same time, and sadly, that's have become very difficult to do. I mean,
Mhm.
it was hilariously, it was a lot easier being on my PC, Windows-based PC, uh, reading an ebook than it is today.
Mhm.
Because one of the problems I think is very damaging is I actually had a Kindle, and literally I wanted to play this like zombie killing app game that was really popular and read an ebook at the same time, and the Kindle wouldn't let me do that.
Mhm.
That's one of the reasons I switched and now have a Surface Pro 4 is my primary like computer slash tablet. And I can like sit there and read a book on edge and play a game at the exact same time. So I mean, it's not fully behaving and stuff. And also, I mean, people can actually listen to books and stuff while they playing a video game. So it's not really, it's being cost comparative that books can usually be, and making things really easy for people. But they now there's some people that love paperback books, and all they will ever do is read paperback books. But I think by having more fun male leads, and 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 being a little bit controversial and stuff, and you know, doing stuff that attract men, like, let's be honest, men are very digital when it comes to stuff. Having pulpy like covers with scaly clad women will attract men to your books. It's not the most politically correct thing, and it's a little bit on the sexist side, but biologically speaking, there's a reason why there's lots of pulpy books with scaly clad women. Men are attracted to that stuff because men are very visual. Oh, and they different things, but the key thing is you don't want to totally alienate women for your books, so you have to be sort of cautious. But women like to read strong men too. That's the funny part about it is, I mean, women. So there are a lot of women that I've heard complaints about. God, why is this man so whiny in this book? Book. I mean, it's really funny. Eh, But women will love to read strong male led men leads too, because biologically speaking, that is deep in their subconscious. So basically, having, I mean, solid, good, fun fiction with men in the leads, and pricing your stuff around about $2.99 or $3.99. Or in my case of my webzine, if you're doing some short stories, around about 20,000 words for like a webzine or something, price it at 99 cents, and have fun with the fiction. I think we can easily get people reading fiction and playing the Xbox One live games all at the same time, like I did when I was a kid.
Yes. As a teacher, one of the things that has always concerned me about my male students in particular is how many of them do not read. So, so anything that we can do to bring them back, I think, is going to be a good thing to do. Um, because you can see out there the kind of negative impact that has on boys' academic success that they don't read.
Yeah, I know.
We see these big gaps opening between male achievement and ELA and female achievement, and because so much of particularly post-secondary education tends to favor um, the more uh, verbally verbally competent student
Hmm.
over the student that is not so verbally competent, that puts men at a disadvantage when they're applying to college, and that's why you see now we're seeing this gender imbalance in post secondary where women now are earning more of the degrees. They are more of the student body of most campuses, uh, and men seem to be falling further behind. So any project whose primary goal is to get men and boys to start reading again is something I can fully support.
Yeah, no. I mean, and especially since I'm actually dyslexic and stuff,
Hmm.
school was quite as hard for me. But I did graduate high school, and I did go to a little bit of college, but I could never really focus
Hmm.
on a major, so I eventually just dropped out. But I mean, it's one of the things that really do console me because like one of the things that helps people. I mean, there's a big jump in between like what you can own with a high school diploma and then what you can even own with a 2-year technical degree from my local community college.
Hmm.
There's like a $20,000 jump, and that hurts everybody. I mean, that hurts the government because you know, you know, women like to take time off work for several different reasons,
Hmm.
and and men usually are the ones that have this very drive and single focus, where they can put up with a lot more stuff of when it comes to work that a female sometimes can't. It's not because it's basically bad or anything. It's just because we have scientific biological differences between the sexes, and I mean, trust me, I went to school when uh when everybody was, and I mean, I can't believe I'm 39 now, but I went to school where there was no difference between boys and females, and everybody got a little participatory trophy, and it really hurts people because there are literally real t- genetic differences between males and females, and these always are alligator, or they always somebody that an outlaw, but 98% of the women can't do what a 5'9" guy that's a buck 35 can do. I mean, it's not because he's so much stronger. Go, it's because they are literally testosterone differences, and I'm sorry, science is not on your side when it comes to this stuff. And and I have always irritated me. This goes back for a long time. I've personally have been against laying women in combat roles and laying women in combat units, and laying even women on warships. I think if we're going to have women, they should be real guard as much as possible, and they should not be frontline soldiers because there is a biological tendency among men to want to protect females. So, literally, a integration military unit will retreat more likely than a surrogate all male unit because these are biological, deep in your subconscious things that are hardwired to our neural cortex. And as a scientific writer, I read a lot of papers into this stuff, and that what aggravates me. B. And the thing about it is, there is nothing wrong with what females are strengths are at. Being a neutral, being a nurse, or being a teacher. I mean, some of my favorite people, well, that I deeply respect happen to be teachers, and almost 99% of them happen to be female. And it's okay for us to have biological differences. It does not mean women are less capable or less competent. It's just we have subtle differences, and our strengths and weaknesses complement each other. I mean, that's why I'm so promoting of people getting married at 25, because I understand at the fun age of being 39 and not being married, it's, you know what, I have a single choice drive to like work all the time, but I'm pretty sure if I had a wife to balance that out and says, hey, you don't have to work 70 hours overtime, I would probably work a little bit less. So they are unique differences that are quite valuable for society. And I don't understand why fiction can't simply show, well, women do this a little bit better. That's a positive. Men do this a little bit better. That's a positive. Both are a positive. We are a homogeneic society. I mean, women do some good things, men do some good things. But on the flip side, they are simply bad people. I mean, there's no. I mean, to be blunt, they are. Everybody can be evil because we are human.
Hmm.
We all fail. As a Christian, we all sinners that's heart. So we all fallen. We all can be bad. So having a person that is bad is he's just a bad person. That doesn't mean he's a bad man or something. He's simply a bad human being. And that's one of the funniest things that we have to do is and the thing about it is women are going to college and stuff, and it's really holding, and the flip side about not having enough men there are really holding women, because let's be honest, I would personally love to go to college as a young 18-year-old male or 19-year-old male. Well, women outnumber me because I become more valuable. So I can play women off of one another and be manipulated if I was could do that. Now, I'm not that type of person, but even having a college filled with women even will necessarily help women in the long term, because normally you usually at the college level your form of cortex is usually hammered out, and biologically you pretty much as a female, and society tells you not to do this, but most women I like to know really go to college hoping to meet a nice guy so they can settle down with and get married. That's like 999% of all my female friends.
That
Even the ones, even
that
the ones. Oh,
I was going to say that the MRS degree.
yeah, yeah. That's a good way to say it. And there are lots of guys I like would like to settle down and find somebody, but oh well. My first marriage went sideways, but that's all in the past. So it's, oh well, crap happens. But it's more to me. It's just funny how people. I mean, see, because when things break down, like when things get distorted like that, uh, it really hurts everybody, especially when it's biologically, when you really have biological differences. I mean, I'm not talking that I personally don't believe they see any real racial biological differences. I've read some stuff about that stuff. Personally, I don't really believe that, but there are real biological differences between men and women. And when you have a gap like that, it usually hurts women just as much as it hurts men, because there are literally differences between the sexes. And when you have a distortion like that, especially in colleges, it really hurts everybody. And that's one of the things that one of the reasons I was very that's one of the reasons I started blasting books. I know if someone gets interested in reading, he's more likely to say, "Oh, I want to go to college and become a rocket scientist." Now, I'm saying women can probably go into college and be a rocket scientist too, but having science fiction used to be a primary male dominated genre, and over the years that have changed. And it really started when I was a kid in high school, because I started to see, like, outside of Bean books, I started to see like more women and more putting down men and more just it was a slow clip to where now you read a submission guidelines and that's literally what they said. You need to check your white privilege at the door when you submitting to us. It went for, yeah, we sort of would like stories like that too now. It's pretty much out in the open. We're like, yeah, if you're a white guy, you're not going to be published by us. if you if you're a male in general and your story is, let's say, have a lead guy and that was strong and women play some like what they might call lesser roles, you won't get published. And ironically, that actually happened to a female author that I can't remember her name right now. She's like, usually agents really like seeing me and when I come in and stuff. And the funny part about it is, all my fiction are male leads and heavily strong male fiction characters because that's what she likes to read.
Mhm.
They usually start reading my fiction and says, "Well, it's not for us," because I mean, John De Rosa really did the good thing by sort of exposing this on his blog. It's sort of something everybody saw in news, but Gas pointing it out in the open was for bullying and you shouldn't do something like that. But everybody pretty much knew what was up on the submission guidelines because I should have knew what's up because I did an experiment as a writer back in 2006, and I did notice when I use a female soul name for two short stories, they they didn't get all published, but they did get positive feedback. I got still like a full rejection letter that like I send out sometimes like sorry I have to say no or this is won't work for me. It's some of the form rejection letters I send out. It's funny how I actually got positive feedback back when I had a female soul name, and it was really funny how that worked. So I even knew about that well before this, but it's so much in the open now because of they everybody want to vulture single. No one actually will really want to do anything. People think like, well, if I have this like gay character and say I'm for same-sex marriage, that's okay. But if I have a character that happens to be homosexual uh and not be for gay marriage, it's like for boy, you are a bad person and you done wrong thing. And as a society, that's not very good. I I personally don't feel what you feel about homosexuality. I mean, they personally I believe is they born with it and it's something to deal with. But at the other hand, is because you against same-sex marriage, that does not make you homophobic. That makes you with somebody with a political difference. I mean, it boggles my mind how people freak out about everything nowadays and how you can't do say this or that and they scream bloody murder about it. I'm like, I'm sorry. I mean, a wonderful thing about this is one of my favorite science fiction writers, Orson Scott Card, have run afoul of the wrong think people because he think the wrong ways about homosexuality, and and people are making a campaign and saying Indo's game is not a classic of the genre. Let's be blunt about this. It is a classic of the genre. It it's it's one of the seminal works in military science fiction. It's basically when you want to learn about a genre, people said go read Starship Troopers and go read Forever War and then go read Indo's Game. It's some kind of that literature and that subgenre of science fiction that personally is one of my personal favorite subgenres. So if you have like a novel with a military science fiction thing onto me because I love reading fiction like that, and especially if all the characters are male and come to the rescue of females. I really like reading stories like that. That's personally one of my personal favorite pulpy type of lines. I know that's not really great, but I really love reading stories like that. Cause I love reading strong female characters too, but I really love reading both. I
Mhm.
mean, I really would love to live where I can pick up a strong character that female. I would love to see a strong female character as a nurse or something, like as a doctor, something. He's downstairs. Okay. Sorry, I just came in my room. Sorry.
No problem.
My brother just came in the room and asked where my dad was, and I said he's downstairs. Um, no, it's one of my favorite things. I would to love to walk into Barnes and Noble or my local independent bookstore. Or sad to say, I actually since I dropped my Kindle, I really don't buy as many books on Amazon anymore. So I hate when authors go exclusive with Amazon that I sort of actually like because getting an Amazon book off of onto my Surface is not the most easiest task for some reason. I exactly don't know why, but it's just funny. I would love to have basically to walk into a bookstore and pick up a book where there's a strong male lead character, or that maybe in the military, or maybe a cop solving some mystery in the 24th century, because I love when people combine my two favorite genres, mystery and science fiction. It's one of my two favorite little genres, and when you combine them both, I'm like the most happiest person on the face of the planet. Uh, I just really like. I would really just love to rock and bond to know and pick up a strong female character that's biologically suited to her biological strength, like being a nurse or being a doctor. And she comes and saves the day doing what whole skill set is. Now, I'm not saying I don't mind reading a good military SF book with a female, but I just know it's like if it wasn't from this world from a slightly heavy gravity, she won't be able to do some of the stuff. And I know a male from that exact same planet can do twice as more that she could. So I would just love to see people reading about biological differences of women and learning what their strengths, their weaknesses are, and having lead characters that like emphasize their strengths in science fiction. Because I would really love to see that as a reader too.
Right. For me, it's a matter of balance. In that, I think we have to recognize that um, as much as people would like to think that uh, kick-ass female characters are uh, the only kind of acceptable female character you can have. If you think about what women are like in reality, not everyone can fit that archetype. So I think really for our literature to be complete, we have to acknowledge that the kick-ass women are actually a very small minority of women, and most women their strengths lie in using their intelligence or their guile, to get what they want, or their strengths are in nurturing. Uh, everyone hates considering that, but in fact, there are many real women out there who that is their primary talent, and acknowledging that is not going to it's not going to bring down the uh, the reputation of women. There's nothing wrong with being a nurturer. There's nothing wrong with being kind of the mother figure who cares for others. Um, and you also kind of mentioned in passing that um, every group has bad people in it. Um, I happen to be a Christian too. I am a Catholic Christian, and I am definitely taught in my tradition that we are all fallen and we are all sinners. And I noticed that characters that come from particular groups are never allowed to be the villains. Their humanity, their capacity for sin, is never allowed to be acknowledged in fiction. I think we're not going to have any real equality um, or real inclusion until we get past that block and start instead of putting black characters or Hispanic characters or gay characters in this kind of one-dimensional cage where they can't be anything other than the virtuous victim. If we can't get past that, uh, then that's actually going to damage our ability to have solidarity amongst ourselves in the long run.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons that I don't understand it, because I mean people. I mean, the thing about it is I would love to have a African American character that's a great character, but it's been the problem is when the white person is the only villain in mostly in most movies, and it becomes boring and technically racist against white people, because I mean
White British people.
yeah, I
There's
mean,
there's British people that I follow on YouTube that's like, yeah, I've gotten used to being the template villain in most movies these days.
me too. It's one of the reasons that I don't see movies. And the funny thing about it is the white guy is like the de facto bad guy in a whole bunch of Chinese movies too. It crosses like international boundaries. But I think it's funny me because the funny thing about the Chinese movie industry is they actually understand their audience. They know, well, 99% of our audience is going to be Han Chinese. Um, Having a Han Chinese as a bad guy probably won't be good for our bottom line. Nine. So they have the evil white rogue American general in a lot of the movies. Now, not all of the movies. I mean, there's like some historical pieces and stuff. I'm a big fan of Hong Kong cinema anyway, but it's more funnier than like, okay, this is what they do. So I mean, I'm pretty sure the Chinese movie audience will be shocked and surprised and pleasantly surprised if somebody comes to them in the movies with a Han bad guy every now and then. But people need to understand is we don't live in this fun utopia, let's all get along world that people want to live in. We live in a world where the official Chinese government will sell us cute little plastic toys and electronic components, and also playing war games to attack us. That's a real thing they actually do with their military. Russia still don't really like us very much. They're a little mad because we did win the Cold War.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Russia do what they do. And because the funny part about it is Russia is filled with white guys, and I literally grew up watching evil Russians in movies.
Mm-hmm.
So to say that's bad and stuff like that, but also I think people need to understand is uh we the world is a very violent and we all don't sit along and say kumbaya to each other. I wish we did, but we don't. There are literally differences between cultures. There's a real difference between a Muslim from Pakistan than a Christian from Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
There's all real differences. And I mean, and no offense, I've actually bothered to sit down and read the Quran and the Hadith. It's very violent. I mean, there are some patches of the Bible is violent too, but I mean, a good chunk of it is slay infidels and stuff like that. So I'm sorry. There are real world differences between cultures. I mean, in China, they literally racially profile for spying. It's actually funny. They actually put up a post. Oh, sorry for the cough. They literally put up a postal in 2016 about a white freckle face foreign. No, oh, they literally refer to you as barbarians in Mandarin. I mean, I literally read a translation about Chinese debate strategy, and it was really eye-opening. And I think I can't remember the nonfiction author's name, but it was really eye-opening to see what they. What? I don't know. That might be. Okay, I I'm gonna have to end this.
All right, no
I'm,
problem. No problem.
but it was a pleasure talking with you, and thank you for letting me appear on your podcast.
You're welcome, and I hope everyone comes back next week. We're going to have kind of a Halloween theme post for next week.
Don't worry, I am subscribed to your YouTube channel, so I'll probably be listening in.
All right. All right. Well, thank you, Kevin, for coming on tonight, and I hope to talk to you another time.
Okay, thank you.
All
Bye.
right. Bye bye.